The Russian Revolution of 1917 was one of the most explosive political events of the 20th century. It marked the end of the Romanov dynasty and centuries of Russian imperial rule. By the early 20th century, Russia was economically backward and politically unstable. The majority of the population were poor peasants living in feudal conditions, while the Tsar lived in immense luxury. The disastrous Russo-Japanese War of 1905 had already exposed the weakness of the Tsarist state. This led to the Revolution of 1905 and the creation of a parliament called the Duma. Though the Tsar retained power, World War I proved to be the breaking point, as Russia suffered staggering losses and severe food shortages. Tsar Nicholas II famously took personal command of the army, leaving the government in the hands of his unpopular wife and Rasputin. In February 1917, riots over bread prices in Petrograd turned into a mass uprising. The army garrison mutinied and joined the protesters, forcing Nicholas II to abdicate the throne. A provisional government was established, but it made the fatal mistake of continuing the unpopular war. Meanwhile, grassroots councils of workers and soldiers, known as Soviets, began to wield real power in the cities. The Bolshevik Party, led by Vladimir Lenin, returned from exile with the slogan, "Peace, Land, and Bread." Lenin argued for an immediate socialist revolution, opposing the moderate provisional government. In October 1917, the Bolsheviks launched a coup, seizing key buildings and the Winter Palace in Petrograd. This bloodless takeover effectively handed power to the Soviets and established the world's first communist state. The Bolsheviks immediately signed the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk with Germany, ending Russia's involvement in World War I. However, the peace was short-lived as the country plunged into a brutal civil war between the Reds and the Whites. The Red Army was organized by Leon Trotsky into a disciplined fighting force. The Whites were a loose coalition of monarchists, liberals, and foreign powers who opposed the Bolsheviks. The Civil War was marked by the Red Terror, a campaign of mass killings and imprisonment of suspected enemies. In July 1918, the Tsar and his entire family were executed in a basement in Yekaterinburg to prevent their rescue. The Bolsheviks eventually won the Civil War in 1923, securing control over most of the former Russian Empire. In 1922, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, or USSR, was officially founded, following Lenin's death in 1924. A power struggle ensued between Trotsky and Joseph Stalin. Stalin emerged victorious, expelling Trotsky and consolidating absolute power. Stalin launched rapid industrialization and the forced collectivization of agriculture, leading to widespread famine. The revolution transformed Russia from a backward agrarian empire into a global industrial superpower. However, this transformation came at a horrific human cost, with millions perishing in gulags and purges. The Russian Revolution fundamentally altered the geopolitical landscape, creating an ideological divide that would define the Cold War. Its legacy remains a subject of intense debate, representing both a dream of equality and a nightmare of totalitarianism.